Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you guys are good. So in this video we'll talk about some NUST entry test past paper questions which are related to quadratic equations. So let's get started. All right. So yes. Here's the first question. So it says 3x to the power 4 plus under root 5x squared plus 3x plus 1 is a polynomial of degree. So basically, we are interested in finding the degree of a polynomial. So it's very simple. You need to understand one thing. Whenever the question is about degree of a polynomial, you find the highest power of the variable. Okay. So what do we see? This is x to the power 1, this is x to the power 2, and this is x to the power 4. So obviously 4 is the greatest number out of these. So it means that 4 would be the degree of this polynomial. In short, whenever the question is about degree, you will find the highest power of the variable and that would be your degree. So that is why the answer is going to be C for this case. Okay. Let's talk about the second question. Now it says the product of 4 fourth roots of 64. Now when it says fourth roots, you need to find the square root first and then the square root again because that would give you the fourth root. And obviously, when we take square root, we get two answers. So when we will find the fourth root, we would get four answers and we'll multiply them and that would give you the answer exactly. Okay, so the number is 64. When I will take its under root, I would obviously get an answer with plus minus sign. So I am going to get an 8 and minus 8. Okay. Now this is the square root. As I've told you earlier, we are going to take the square root again. So once again, I'll be taking the square root. This would give me the answer in plus minus and again the answer in plus minus. Now this is a bit complicated thing. You are getting minus 8 here, and you know that you cannot have minus in the under root, right? So whenever we come across such things, we enter the complex numbers. Basically, I can write under the root minus 8 as under the root minus 1 and under the root 8, and we know that under the root minus 1 is basically iota. So I can write it as iota root 8. So this would become plus minus iota root 8. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are my four fourth roots of 64. The question is about finding their product. So I need to multiply them. So this would give me under root 8 multiplied by minus under root 8 multiplied by iota under root 8 multiplied by minus iota under the root 8. Okay. And now this would give me minus 8 multiplied by iota would give me iota squared, and I have this negative sign, so it would come here. Under root 8 into under root 8 would again give me 8. Okay, so I know that iota square is going to be what? It's very obvious. If iota is under root minus 1, so when I will square this, it would give me minus 1. Now things have become much easier. It would give me minus 8 multiplied by minus into minus 1 into 8. So this would give me negative 64, right? These two would be cancelled and minus 8 into 8 would give me negative 64. So I'll just wait for a few seconds. Just try understanding this on your own because I've seen students that just get confused because of the sign thing. It's easy, okay? So I'll repeat. Please pay attention. When it says four fourth roots, you would know that obviously you'll first find out the square root. Once you have the square root, you'll find the square root again to find the fourth root. Okay. And obviously, when you have square root, you will get two answers. When it's fourth root, you would get four answers. So this should be understandable. Okay. Now, We know that under root minus 8 is not a simple thing. Under root minus 8 is basically iota into under root 8, because iota is under root minus 1. I did not do this by myself. This is a property of complex numbers and it is one of the most used properties. So please just understand this as a formula or as a theorem or as a property, okay? Once we have all the four roots, I was supposed to multiply them, and upon multiplication I got minus 64. So the answer is going to be D in this case. All right. Okay. So I hope that it's clear now. Let's talk about the next question. Okay. Question number 3 says 7 into y squared plus 5 into under root y plus 3 is a polynomial over. Now, you guys must have seen the binomial expansion formula or different quadratic equations and stuff like that. Okay. But I'm pretty sure you guys would have never seen such type of a thing, y equals half or y equals 1 by 3. Like, obviously, I know that we can solve such questions and we do come across such questions, but they are simple equations. You cannot claim that as a polynomial. So, in general, a polynomial is basically collection of different numbers which are added or subtracted, and the power of the variable must be an integer. Okay, 1 by 2 is not an integer, and the power of y in case of this polynomial is half, so that is why it is not a polynomial, right? So the answer would be D. Just know that when we say something is a polynomial, that something should have variables with power as an integer. That is it. Okay. So it would be none. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the next one. Okay. So this is the fourth question. Okay. Now it says 3x squared plus 9x plus 7 is a binomial, monomial, trinomial, or none. Now, I've seen students using binomial, but please be attentive. They're not talking about the degree. The degree is 2 in this case. Binomial, monomial, and trinomial. This is basically the division upon the number of terms in this polynomial. Now, how many terms do I have in this polynomial? 1, 2, and 3. So it would be a trinomial. Always remember, binomial, monomial, and trinomial. This would be for the number of terms in your polynomial. Okay. So the answer is going to be C in this case. All right. Let's talk about the next one. All right. So here it says if y to the power 4 plus y cubed minus 2 into y squared minus 8y plus 2 is divided by y plus 1, then the remainder is. Okay, now for this question, you need to understand that you'll be using the remainder theorem. So the factor is y plus 1. When the factor is y plus 1, we are supposed to plug in y equals minus 1. I'll plug in y equals minus 1 in all these y's, and I'll see the answer. Whatever the number I would get, that is going to be the remainder. So if anyone is not familiar with the remainder theorem, I repeat, whatever factor you have, let's say you have y plus 1, you need to see the number that you'll plug in y. For example, if the factor is y plus 1, you'll be plugging in minus 1, and whatever number you get after simplification, that is going to be your remainder. So it's simple. I have minus 1, so it would become minus 1 to the power 4 plus minus 1 cubed minus 2 into minus 1 squared minus 8 into minus 1 plus 2. So minus 1 to the power 4, if we have a negative number and the power is an even integer, it would be positive. Then minus 1. Then we are going to have minus 2 plus 8 and plus 2. 1 and this would be cancelled, this and this would be cancelled, and we are left with this 8. So the answer is going to be A. So it was simple. Step 1 was just plugging in the y value and simplify this, and whatever you get as the answer, that would be your remainder. Okay, all right. So just look at it for a few seconds, and in case of any questions, please feel free to ask me directly. All right, okay, let's talk about the next one then. Okay, now the sixth question says the value of the polynomial 4 into x to the power 4 minus 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus x plus 5 at x equals 3 is. Now you're just supposed to find the value of the polynomial at a certain value of x. So it's simple. You are just supposed to plug in the x value. Okay, that is 3 in this case. Now this question is easy, but the only difficult thing here is that you would be doing it without your calculator. So please try practicing all the past paper questions without your calculator. Okay, obviously. So it is 4 into 3 power 4 minus 3 into 3 cubed plus 2 into 3 squared minus 3 plus 5. It is 4 into 3 to the power 4. Now we know that 3 squared is 9. So 3 squared into 3 squared would be 9 into 9, that is 81. Then if 3 to the power 4 is 9, it would be minus 81 plus 2 into 3 squared, it is 2 into 9, and it is going to give me 18. And then minus 3 plus 5 would be plus 2. Okay, now we need to simplify this. So 4 into 81, 4 into 80 is 320. So this would give me 324 minus 81 plus 18 plus 2. Okay, now you can just simplify this on your own. It's a simple addition subtraction, and this should give you 263. So the answer is going to be D in this case. Please try practicing all your questions and some basic mathematical questions without calculators, just so you get used to solving questions without calculators, because this is the main challenge. Okay. All right. So the answer is D in this case. All right. Let's talk about the next one. Okay. Now it says quadratic equation is an equation of degree. Now again the question is about degree, and if I talk about the general form of a quadratic equation, it is a x squared plus bx plus c. Now obviously this x and x, these are the variables. A, b, c, there are some constants. When we talk about the degree, we are basically talking about the highest power of the variable, that in this case is 2. So the answer is going to be C for this question. All right, okay, let's talk about the next one. Okay, now it's interesting. It says if alpha plus beta is 2, alpha into beta is 1, then the value of alpha cubed plus beta cubed is. Please try solving this question with me. It's very simple. Now, you know what, things get complicated when students start thinking about questions in a difficult domain. Like it is a simple question. So just know that for finding the value of alpha cube plus beta cube, you would just be finding the value of alpha and beta. Once you have the value of alpha and beta, you can find the value of alpha cubed and beta cubed, and you can just add it up. Okay, then it becomes a simple question. I've seen students thinking about this question this way, that they are supposed to find the value of alpha cube plus beta cube directly. It's not like that. You have two equations. This is your first equation, this is your second equation. You can always solve these two equations simultaneously. Find the value of alpha and beta and just plug in alpha here, beta here, and find the value. Now, I've told you the method. Please try doing this with me. I can use equation number 2 to find the value of alpha. Alpha is 1 over beta. Now I can use this new equation star in equation number 1. Okay, so using star in equation 1. I'm obviously writing it this way for your understanding. You're not supposed to do it this way in any t. So it would be alpha plus beta. So 1 by beta plus beta equals 2. Okay. And then I am going to simplify it. So I'll be taking the LCM. It would become beta 1 plus beta squared equals 2. And I'll just write it neatly, plus beta squared. Okay. And now I have 1 plus beta squared equals 2 beta, and it would become beta squared minus 2 beta plus 1 equals 0. Now it's a simple quadratic equation. You need two numbers such that when you multiply them you get 1, and when you add them you get minus 2. So the two numbers could be minus 1 and minus 1. So this is going to become beta squared minus beta plus 1 equals 0. Beta can be taken common, beta minus 1, and then again beta minus 1 equals 0. And this would give you beta minus 1 whole squared equals 0, and this would give you beta equals 1. So beta has turned out to be 1. When I will plug in the value of beta as 1, this equation is going to give me alpha equals 1. Now, upon simplification, I got beta equals 1, alpha equals 1, and now 1 cubed plus 1 cubed would give me 1 plus 1, that is 2 directly. So the answer is going to be B in this case. Okay. So it was a simple question. We were just supposed to find the values of alpha and beta. Once we have the values of alpha and beta, you are just to plug in them in the equation and just simplify it to get the answer, that is 2. All right, let's talk about the next one. Okay, now it says if S1 is the solution set of equation f of xy equals 0 and S2 is the solution set of g of xy equals 0, then the solution set of the system f of xy equals 0 and g of xy equals 0 is what? Okay, now it is an important question. S1 is satisfying this equation, S2 is satisfying this equation. Now, initially, these equations were separate. If we are to find the solution set of this system, we would be interested in the common solutions. Obviously, when you solve any simultaneous equation, you find the values of x or y according to both of the equations. You have to make sure that both the equation that all of your answers satisfy all the given equations. Similarly, S1 is the solution set of f, S2 is the solution set of g. In order to find the solution set of this system, you need to find the common solution set. So it would be the intersection of S1 and S2. That is why the answer is going to be A in this case. You can just take a few seconds, read the question again, and in case of any questions, just ask me. Okay, I hope it's clear now. Let's talk about the 10th one. Now it says if the discriminant of a squared plus bx plus c equals 0, if the discriminant of this equation is not a perfect square, then its roots are. Now, what is the discriminant? Discriminant is basically b squared minus 4ac. And if this number is not a perfect square, you know that this number comes this way, right? The formula is minus b plus minus under the root this divided by 2a. Now, if b squared minus 4ac, this part is basically your discriminant. If this discriminant is not a perfect square, you would get the answer in the surd form. And whenever you have the answer in surd form, your value or that number is basically considered to be an irrational number. So the answer is going to be B in this case. Always remember, For rational numbers, it could be any number that can be written as a fraction. But for irrational numbers, if you have this type of a thing, let's say under root 2 or let's say under root 3, stuff like that, this is a surd. And all these surds are considered to be an irrational form of the answer. So the answer is going to be B for this one. Okay, all right. Let's talk about the next question then. Right, so it is question number 11, and it says the product of the roots of the equation is. Now, I will talk about the general thing. Now, the question is about the product of the roots. I've seen students finding the roots first and then multiplying. You certainly can do that if you have a lot of time. But to save time, we have some quick formulas, okay? So, if your quadratic equation is of this type, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, you do c by a to find the product of your roots. Okay, so c by a would give you, this is our c in this case, it's minus 27 and a is 9, so minus 27 divided by 9 would give you minus 3. So the answer is going to be D in this case. It was simple. You should just remember this formula, that whatever roots you would get, the product is going to be c by a. C is this constant term and a is the coefficient of x squared. You need to divide it and that would give you the final answer. All right, let's talk about the next one. Now the question is about the sum of the roots of the equation 12x squared minus 7x plus 4 equals 0. Again, the question is of similar type. You can either find the roots and then find the sum. This would take a lot of time. A better approach of doing this question could be that you use the direct formula. So again, let's say that if your quadratic equation is of this type, in order to find the sum of roots, you do minus b by a. This is the coefficient of x. You do minus b by a. So we have minus 7 and it is 12. So we are going to do minus 7 by 12 and we need to add this negative sign. So this would give you 7 by 12. So the answer is going to be C in this case. So just remember this formula. That is it. Minus B by A. Alright, let's talk about the next one. Okay. Now it says if if S equals the sum of the roots of the equation and P is the product of the roots of the equation, then their equation can be written as, okay, now it's a simple question. You need to simplify this and we'll find it, okay? I'll just highlight the important words. S is the sum and P is the product of the roots. So let's say that your first root is A and your second root is b. This implies that a plus b, that is the sum of roots, would give you a capital S and the product of roots would give you a capital P. So let's see how to do it. So if a and b are the roots, I can find the quadratic equation this way. This would be a factor. X minus a would be a factor if a is a root, and x minus b would be a factor if b is a root. Upon expanding this, I would get x squared minus xb minus ax plus ab, and this would give me x squared minus x into b plus a plus ab. Now I got b plus a and ab, and I can replace it with x squared minus x. B plus a is s plus p. So I can write it as x squared minus sx plus p equals 0. So this is going to be my quadratic equation. So the answer is going to be C in this case. So it was a simple question. You just need to think about things logically, and once you do that, you would get the answer automatically. All right, let's talk about the next one. So this is the 14th question, and it says, if the discriminant of the quadratic equation is positive, then the roots are. Now again, your discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. If it is positive, what do you know? You know that you would be getting two real solutions, right? So obviously, if I'm saying two, they are unequal and they are real. So the answer is going to be D in this case. So this was a simple question. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Okay, now it's again simple. It says sum of the roots of the equation. It's a general quadratic equation. I've just told you. For such questions, we do minus b by a. For sum, it is minus b by a. All right, let's talk about the next one. Okay, now it says if the roots of the equation are minus 7 by 4 and 4 by 7, then the equation will be, again, when you have the roots, you can find the factors. Once you have the factors, you can multiply them and then expand it to find the quadratic equation. So your factors would be x minus your first root, and the second factor would be x minus your second root. So this would become minus into minus would become plus. So I'll just get rid of this thing directly over here. And now let's multiply this. So this would give me x squared minus 4 by 7x plus 7 by 4x minus 28 by 28. Okay. Now I'll simplify this. This would be cancelled. X squared minus is outside, then the LCM would be 28. 7 into 4, 4 into 4 is 16x plus, then 4 into 7, and then this would give me, this would become minus because I have minus outside, minus 49x, and then minus 1 equals 0. This would be equal to 0 and this would be equal to 0. Okay, now what I can do is I can just simplify this. X squared minus, and then this would give me minus 33x by 28 minus 1 equals 0. And simply I'll just take 28 to the other side by taking LCM. 28x squared plus 33x minus 28 equals 0. So the answer is going to be A in this case. Now I would advise you, obviously, I'm doing the complete working and stuff like that because at the moment we are preparing. But in NET, you would be having 200 questions. Out of those 200, you would be having 80 maths questions, and you would only be having 3 hours in total. So you would not be having that much time. You need to be quick, and you can only become quick and active and do the paper efficiently if you practice a lot, right? So yeah, that is something I wanted to tell you. All right, so in case of any questions, please feel free to comment in the chat box or the comment section just so I can answer you directly. All right, the next question is question number 17. Okay, now it says the value of omega. Omega is basically one of the cube root of unity, and we have three cube roots of unity. It's 1 omega and omega square. So omega, for omega you should know it's minus 1, then you have plus iota under root 3 by 2. So the answer is going to be D in this case. All right, okay, so this would be your answer. Now, it was a simple question. This is something that you need to remember. The value of omega is minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2. Okay, all right, so this simple. Let's talk about the next one. Okay, now you need to find the sum of these three. Now, you should always remember for such questions that whenever you would add the three cube roots of unity, it would give you 0, and whenever you will multiply it, you would get 1. But obviously, since we are doing it right now, so let's do it completely. It is 1 plus. Now, omega, I've just told you what omega is. Omega is minus 1 plus root 3 iota by 2. And now, obviously, when you do omega squared, you're basically squaring this, but we would not be doing it this way. I'll just write the answer directly. It is with a negative sign. Root 3 iota divided by 2. Alright, this is what it is. Now we are supposed to add it up. So it would give you 1 minus 1 by 2 plus root 3 iota by 2 plus 1 by 2 minus root 3 iota by 2. Alright, okay. Now this is what we can see. Okay, so it's simple. For such questions, whenever the question is telling you to add them up or stuff like that, you're just supposed to do the simple working and then tell the answer. Okay, so it is going to give you 1 second only. Let me just highlight it properly. This is this is your 1, this part is your omega, and this part, oh yeah, this -1, this part right here is your omega square. Okay, we have -1 here, so you would get -1 here, basically -1 by 2. All right, okay. So let's simplify this quickly. 1 would be cancelled by this minus half and minus half, and these two would be cancelled, and once you add them, the answer is going to be 0. Okay, so it would be B. Now it's simple. Whenever you have been asked to find the sum of the three square roots of unity, you should know it's 0, and whenever the question is about product, it is 1. But just for the sake of practice, I wanted to do it with you. Okay, so always remember omega is -1 plus under root 3 iota by 2, and omega square is -1 minus under root 3 iota by 2. All right, okay, let's talk about the next one. Okay, now again it's about the product, so let's do it quickly. It's 1 multiplied by -1 plus root 3 iota divided by 2, and then I'll multiply it with -1 minus root 3 iota by 2. Okay, so it would give me, now I can multiply it and it would give me -1 into -1 would give me 1, then plus root 3 iota, and then minus root 3 iota, and then minus 3 iota squared divided by 4. Now I can just do it on this side. um okay, these two would be cancelled. 1 minus 3 into iota squared is -1 divided by 4. So 1 plus 3 divided by 4 would give you 4 by 4, that is 1. So the answer is going to be A. So I've told you earlier as well, whenever you will multiply 3 cube roots of unity, you would get 1. And when you will add it up, you would get 0. Always remember this. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the next one. Okay. Now it says the equation this has real roots, rational roots, irrational roots, or imaginary roots. Now, you're not supposed to find the roots and then just waste all the time and then tell your answer. What you can do is you can directly find the discriminant, that is b squared minus 4ac. So it's 7. 7 squared would give you 49 minus 7 into 5 into 8, and you can just see that the answer is going to be negative. Okay, this would be less than 0. Now whenever your discriminant is less than 0, what do you know? You know that you get imaginary roots. You do not have any real solution. Your answer is a complex answer, so it would be imaginary roots. It would be T. All right, let's talk about the next one. Which statement is true about the discriminant of the quadratic equation? Now, I've seen students choosing answer D, b square minus 4ac. B square minus 4ac is the discriminant for this equation. A squared plus bx plus c equals 0. If you have different coefficients, you're obviously going to write the answer differently. So it would be d squared minus 4 CE. So the answer is going to be D in this case. Okay. Please do not lose your mark for such silly mistakes. You guys know b square minus 4ac is coming because we're talking about the coefficient of x squared, and the constant term. Just follow that, whatever the equation you have, and through that you might get a different form of the discriminant, which is completely fine. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the next one. Okay. It says the product of the roots of equation px squared minus tx plus n is. Now I've been telling you the product is basically what? This number divided by this number. Okay, so it is usually c by a, but since we have p and n, so it would be n by p. So the answer is going to be a in this case. Let's talk about the next one. Okay, now it says what should be added to nx to the power 4 plus 2x squared plus 25 to make it a perfect square. Okay, now just take a few seconds and understand the question. You need to make this a perfect square, so I can write it as this square plus n plus 5 square. Okay, now how do we write down perfect squares? It's a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, so it would be 2ab. This is my a and this is my b, and it is 2ab. So we all know this is how we define any quadratic formula, right, for a perfect square. Now this term is basically what? 6 into 5. 6 into 5 would give me 30x squared. I need 30x squared here. I need to get rid of this 2x squared and I need 30x squared. So I need to either add 28x squared or I need to subtract 32x squared to get 30x squared. So I do not have plus 28x squared. It means what I can do is I can just say that I would add minus 32x squared in order to get minus 30x squared, and that would make it a perfect square. So the answer is going to be C in this case. So it was a simple question, but it was a bit technical. You were supposed to find the perfect square. We know that a square minus 2ab plus b squared and a squared plus 2ab plus b squared are two perfect squares. I first calculated my a and b. That turned out to be 3x squared and 5. Then I calculated what this term should be. This term should be minus 30x squared. I have 2x squared. So I need to add minus 32x squared in order to get minus 30x squared. All right. Okay, let's talk about the next question then. Now it says if discriminant of a quadratic equation is negative, then the roots are. Now, obviously, I've been telling you if it is minus b plus minus under the root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. If this term is negative, you would get under root with something negative, and whenever you have this, you get the answer in the complex form. So the answer would be D in this case. Whenever your discriminant is negative. All right, and this is the last question, and it says if roots of a quadratic equation are equal, then discriminant. Okay, now If your roots turn out to be same, if you're getting two equal roots, it means that it would be the case where your discriminant b square minus 4ac is basically equal to 0, because then it would not give you two different answers or complex answer. It would just give you one value that would be same for both the roots. So the answer is going to be A in this case. All right. So these are the questions which we have discussed today for quadratic equations. Right. In case of any confusions, please feel free to comment down below. I'll answer you. And if you're interested in live classes, if you want to cover all the courses, you can just sign up through the link given in the description box. Thank you so much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.